All right. How's my hair?
Beautiful as always, Rob.
You know this is audio.
Welcome back to the Photofocus Podcast. It's the roundtable for August 2023. This month, as always, Rob Moroto co-hosts with me. He's up there in Canada, specializing in architecture and real estate photography. This month we have, coming back to us, we have two previous guests on the show. First, Levi Sim, who's also a Photofocus author. He's the, I believe, head photographer at Utah State University. And you can find him at, besides in Utah, levisim.com. Also coming back to us, bienvenidos de nuevo, is Wayne from Spain, Wayne Chasan. He's out there in Marbella in the south of Spain at chasan.com. All right, this month we are going to be hitting some of ours and our listeners' favorite topics, including AI and video, plus a couple other things that I'll introduce coming up. But first, Rob, welcome back. Good to see you. We got ourselves together to record.
You know, it's incredible how busy summer can get when there's no school and there's three children running around everywhere.
People think getting a sitting down quiet to record a podcast is easy, but
oh yeah,
we're showing that's not true with all of everybody has their lives. Because
I've got this. Okay, so it's like a ticking time bomb. I've got three kids under the age of 12, all running around with Nerf guns, and if I hear crying, I'm gonna have to pop out of here. So. Fair warning to everyone, that may actually happen. But before that happens, I have to say we have a great sponsor for you today, and it's the same sponsor that we have for you from the last couple of shows, actually most of the shows. It is HDR Soft and their fantastic product, Photomatics. And Photomatics does HDR photography and merges photos that come out of your camera into something that looks a whole lot better and is essentially an essential for anyone who does real estate photography. So if you are doing real estate photography, architectural interiors, landscape, check it out. More about that from Ron.
Actually, we're not having any HDR topics today, but I remember one of our topics coming up. We're going to start getting ready for the 2024 eclipse. And last time, Levi and I were doing a regular podcast, and we talked extensively about the eclipse. That was in 2017, and I remember being completely unready for it. And since our listeners and we had comments about it, and we had this discussion, and I promised myself in 2024 I'd be much more ready for it myself. We would help Photofocus listeners and readers be more ready for it. So that's one reason I wanted to have Levi come back, and we can go a little bit back through what we talked about before, and just start off that topic now, and we can keep adding to it in our podcasts as we get questions for the Q&A show and on the next few roundtables. I meant to bring up the fact that was one use for Photomatics back then, is we had tons of questions. I got tons of questions about how I can use it, because capturing that, as you'll find out as we talk about all the different ways you might go about capturing an eclipse, one great solution was to bracket and use Fusion and HDR and things. So we'll be hitting on that. Even if we don't hit on it today, we'll be hitting that over time. So that is one use for HDR and bracketing. But let's, in fact, segue. Levi, welcome back.
Thanks.
Okay. Dude, we used to do the problem solving podcast.
Right.
And one of them that came up was the eclipse, and we got yelled at a little bit for it because I remember we were not being careful enough to warn everybody to not look at it, to not shoot, not look through your camera. So I want to say right off the bat,
consider us warned.
Be warned, you must use special gear to look at or photograph the eclipse.
Yeah, fortunately now the main special gear is the screen on the back of your camera.
Yeah, like mirrorless made it a whole lot safer.
Right?
Not for your camera, but for at least for you.
True.
Yeah, and, we're not looking through the lens anymore. So
yeah, it's like you're not. Remember when you used to burn ants with a magnifying glass? Imagine that happening with your eye. Like that is what would happen if you looked through a regular DSLR and looked at the sun.
And you focus on the sun.
Exactly. You would be the ant in your eye.
Not a good
I haven't
idea.
actually tried it with the DSLR on an ant. Has anybody?
No.
Oh my god. I'm gonna try that now. I'm gonna just take my 100 to 400 and see how many ants we get.
Rob.
And we haven't said hello to Wayne. I always warn everybody, let's wait until we kind of throw it to you at the beginning, because otherwise we spend a lot of time. But Wayne, how's it going over there? Thanks for joining us. For you, it's a bit late in the evening, I think, but
yeah,
good having you.
9 hours ahead of you guys, but I can tell you the future is pretty much just the same as 9 hours ago.
Gotcha.
How are things in what I consider to be paradise, south of Spain?
It is kind of paradise. I still feel that way after 40 years here, and I say that after living 8 years in California, my teen years basically, which I also consider to be a paradise. But it's a really nice place, but just don't come in August and July. It's not nice anywhere in August and July, except maybe the Southern Hemisphere for us guys who don't particularly like the heat. And it's really funny because I was born in Florida, raised in California and Spain, southern Spain mostly, and I don't really like heat, and I don't really like the sea. I mean, I like looking at it, and I like being in a temperate climate, but I don't particularly like it when it goes to extremes.
Oh yeah.
When you were in Canada, when you're in Canada, when you're in the U.S., when you were
Marbella.
when you were in the U.S. in California, you were in the Bay Area, like San Francisco and Sausalito.
That's
place,
home
right?
in my heart. That's
nice and cool. That's always cool year round.
But I did L.A. and I did Bishop, California, and most of the rest was Santa Rosa, Palo Alto, Sausalito. Yeah.
Wayne and I share our places. The main places are California and Spain. It's just I didn't spend a lot of time. I mean, I lived there for a short time, but it's just always in my heart. So
you got to make it back, buddy.
That's going to come up in the conversation. Wait for it. So let's go right into. We have a few topics. I think the first one will be relatively quick. So let me ask you guys. This one I brought out to the table because I've been doing it again for the second time ever. About 20 years ago, when I got into photography, I was promoting myself in San Francisco. Now I'm haven't been doing a lot of local photography for a long time, and thanks partly to Rob and partly to some other people, I've gotten back into doing local in the East Bay. And I thought I'd ask you guys, what are you doing or have you done that worked or didn't work to promote yourself, hopefully locally, but in either case? I mean, Rob, I know you're kind of a guru at this, so let's save you for last. I don't know who's Wayne. Do you want to start this one? And what have you done?
Sure.
I've
never been huge on marketing. I've been working 40 years now. Most of it from the beginning has been word of mouth. And I just kind of tell people, especially here, just show up on time, do what you said you were going to do, and do it for the price you said you were going to, if possible. And if on top of it you do it with a smile, and that's got me 40 years forward. Mm-hmm. It's pretty simple recipe for success. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. But obviously, over the years, what have I tried? Well, obviously, I've been listed on the Find a Photographer of the ASMP as a general member. Same sort of thing on the Spanish Photographers Association. I'm a big fan of belonging to Photographers Association and grouping together and finding strength in numbers and support.
Have those specifically worked that you know of?
Actually, yes, they have specifically worked. I believe that one of the biggest clients of my career, who I have been working on and off with for 20 years now, I know they found me on the internet. We're talking 2004, and I think my first website was 2001. And I'm pretty darn sure that one of the places they saw me was at the ASMP Find a Photographer thing, or somewhere. So definitely, yeah.
So Wayne, just for myself, what is ASMP?
Oh, okay. American Society of Media Photographers, which used to be magazine photographers. You have, I believe, the APA, American Photographers Association, and a bunch of associations. For me, ASMP was just the one I knew about first. I moved to Spain from the Bay Area at kind of 18, 19, with no knowledge of how to run a photography business or how to be a photographer. It all just kind of happened. And really what educated me and saved me without business savvy in the real world as a freelancer was the ASMP Business Bible, which at that point was printed and, of course, now is digital.
Now, Would you recommend that to any of us or any of our listeners that are not in the States? Because one thing that I learned was that a lot of the marketing firms and the head offices and the creative directors are all in the States. So regardless of if you're, say, you're living in Spain, there's a resort down in Mexico, because the marketing firm is in the United States, they're going to start searching from there.
I think, everything's happening clearly on the web. And I think you really need to have like a shotgun approach where you have a portfolio at the ASMP Find a Photographer with your local countries association. You've got your own website. You've got your social media. You've got everything that can be happening out there that hopefully will catch someone's attention. And while I'm not top notch at all in that, I definitely find that I get some surprising big clients that contact me, and I'm like, how did you find me, by the way? And they're like, yeah, organic search. I searched for. So the more places you're in and the more you build up your organic or paid search results, definitely better chance. And as I don't do any kind of advertising really, that's what feeds it.
Yeah, if you're listening to the show and you're not driving, it's chasan.com, CHASAN.com.
Which is going to
it's the real thing. I consider Wayne to be one of those photographers that gets those sort of dream jobs. You'll see if you look at the resort stuff that on his website. Hey, Levi, what about you? I already know some of the answers, but I'm glad you say it.
Well, I was going to say regarding ASMP versus like APA, I've been in both, and I would say ASMP is more for the commercial and journal and editorial photographers. You don't find senior photographers in there. People who are advertising for babies and seniors aren't in ASMP; they're in APA, and they're like I would say that's a pretty safe distinction. Retail photography goes to APA, and commercial photography goes toward ASMP.
Nice, good tip.
Nice.
So
and you can definitely be in both.
Both of those, I believe, offer things other than promotion too, like insurance, for instance.
Right, like
yes,
and you may just not care about anything else, but getting the insurance from either of those.
Does anybody know what's the name of that one insurance? It basically is if you fail. So it's
and then marine stuff like that. Like if your light stand tips over on the.
In Spanish it's responsabilidad civil.
That's liability insurance. But there's one where if you have a contract and for whatever reason you're unable to complete the contract, then they cover you because the client has a right to sue you for it.
Right.
So if this is your commercial more than your retail it's a good term for.
Well, and
that.
you use it in wedding as well. Same kind of thing applies. I forget what it's called, but yes.
Don't mention that insurance to my wife. She already says I just have too many insurance policies and I don't have that one.
I have this is not legal advice. This is not legal advice. And I don't have a clue. I don't speak Spanish. Okay.
But they also offer legal advice, like through these associations. You can also
they'll help you with that. Where guys on a podcast really shouldn't be until we get David Deal back. We'll put that on our list, Rob, for David Deal. he can help.
But
us
he's
with
not
that.
an insurance lawyer, right?
No, but he's a photographer and a lawyer, so he probably would be able to give some more advice. But that's
fair enough.
Depending what you do, if you do big contracts, let's say you do a contract and you're the photographer, but you hire assistants and a bunch of equipment, rent everything, and you're charging them $50,000. You don't keep it all, okay? And then something happens and it doesn't get finished, then you're covered for that breach of contract. And I don't recall the name because my mental block is keeping me from that, but it's an important thing.
Yeah. Okay. So getting business, like Wayne, unlike Wayne, I have done advertising. I've done radio and magazine ads, like locally, like those local magazines that go out, and local radio ads for 4 to 6 years. And I got exactly one callback off of one of those magazine ads. And I was doing them on trade. Like I'd shoot for the magazine and they'd give me an ad, or I'd shoot for the radio and they'd give me a certain number of call outs a week. And so I didn't get any new clients out of it. But I did get everyone who was a client or a friend saying, "Hey, I saw your
That's valuable too.
Yeah, it's so for, but I think you get the same kind of value out of social media that way, where the people who are already in your circle hear about you more and more.
Well, I would say that I learned from that book about negotiating that you would always try to get those that are free for them. So if they can do a free spot on a show, do it, because you at least get that social that social. Well, like you mentioned, even your clients that already exist, you just solidified yourself with them that you're doing different kinds of things. Yeah. Like and a lot of people still think of the radio as being the real media and the social media being the fake. So you're going to, and you're depending on the area you're in too.
Yeah. Right. And I think I would do it again. I think I would do those trades again.
It's probably fun.
It's fun. And I'm still working with the people I'm photographing for the magazine, like whoever the magazine is sending me to photograph whatever business that is. I'm also building a relationship with them. So I think it was valuable.
Yeah. And the nice thing about magazines is that they usually put the photo credits and they put your name in there. So it's a little bit of additional advertising right there when your photo credits are there, right?
Well, you add it to your CV and your website about appearances and things that just help, that all those things help over time.
My computer is actually sitting on a box full of tear sheets from those magazines.
So nobody wanted the magazines? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, it's like, it's my little portfolio of commercial stuff that I've done, and so it's all the different issues, not the single issue.
Nice.
I want to second the motion, actually, because I've also done those sort of trade-ins with magazines, and while they don't bring results, it's very much like I wanted to say about social media. I disappeared for sort of 5 years from my traditional local market, doing shoots around the world. And when I came back, I realized that had been a bit much. And social media has really, I've really noticed people saying to me, I'm not sure how many new clients it's bringing in, but I know that everybody who knows me locally is saying, oh, I just saw you were doing this. Oh, I saw you were in Italy. Well, if you read it, that was 5 years ago, actually, the Italy one. But it's keeping you in their face. It's keeping them, jogging their memory that you're there, and that's critical. Yeah. And the one other thing I didn't mention was networking. Definitely have been doing networking, since I needed to kind of reestablish myself locally, and that's important.
And that's where I'm going. Like I started a business. Like I started my business initially in Utah, and then moved cold turkey to Portland, Oregon. I knew one person in the entire state and was just completely restarting my entire business. And the thing that took me from zero to making a living, within 3 months, was absolutely going to the networking stuff. We had a terrific Chamber of Commerce, and we got together every week for a networking meeting within our Chamber of Commerce. And so I could sit there and be helpful with my local businesses. And a great principle is to do business with the people doing business with the people you want to do business with.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so I'm working with the dentist. Like I'm not necessarily even doing pictures for the dentist. In fact, so after 6 months, people would introduce me at this meeting and be like, oh, he's the best photographer ever. And they've never seen a single picture of mine.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
You and Ashton Kutcher are the best photographers because people just know it.
Well, like Wayne said, when you do it with a smile, that's the main thing. And so they've seen me putting away the chairs and helping set up stuff at the meeting every week. And they've seen me introducing the realtor to the mortgage people and just being a nice, helpful guy.
Now, and Levi, the key is you do it with a smile and a bow tie.
A smile and a bow tie does not hurt. And like Grandpa Scott taught us, Scott Bourne, who founded this podcast. Should I call him Father Scott? Not Father Scott. Scott has always said, own your zip code. And so I walked around, like I'd go park at the strip mall with a pack of little postcards that I made saying, I'm your new neighborhood photographer. How can I help? Here's my contact information. And I went in and met every manager at every store in every strip mall. And
Nice.
and they've got, and I'm not like, the key is you're not pitching. You're just introducing yourself, because when you show up and solicit, people don't have time for that. But when you show up and say, hey, I'm new here. What has helped you do business in this community? Like, what do you think people value here? And now I'm making a friend who's helping me. And that's a valuable thing for both of us. And the key is I'm not pitching. I'm asking.
That's a Dale Carnegie kind of thing, right? Where you show more interest in the person that you want to have interest in you.
Yeah, it's like a human thing.
Yeah.
That Dale Carnegie definitely solidified for us. Yeah, because nobody wants to be sold to, but they do want someone to help them. And they also like to help people. Like, people like helping people.
And so you give them the opportunity to help, and then all of a sudden they will just keep on helping to the point where they can't stop helping you.
Right. And they're an expert in this thing. Like, I'm asking for their expert help in this community, and that just made me have a living. And the place I lived was the most affluent zip code in the state. It was the wrong place to move to for a new guy, but they were the best people to help me do a business, and it worked really, really well. So own your zip code.
If you're starting out and you're like me, I really don't like doing sales. I just feel uncomfortable about it. When you can sell to someone who's always doing sales themselves, take your real estate agent or a lot of different kinds of stores and different products that are out there, they're always selling to someone else. So it's so much easier to approach them because they expect it. They kind of want it. They do the same every day. And so I would recommend, if anybody's like me and just doesn't want to make cold calls, then you start with those kinds of businesses.
And making friends with the people who are doing business with the people you want to do business with. So if you're a newborn photographer, you go to the baby store in town where they sell the clothes and the cribs, and you talk to the manager and you say, hey, what have you found that your clients value here? And now you're making a friend with the manager. And when somebody says to the manager, do you know any newborn photographers? You're kind of at the top of their mind. I mean, that's not my goal. It's a result of getting to know people and helping them. I'm not striving to be the person. Like, it doesn't change my behavior, but it changes the way I approach my behavior. And that changes everything about my relationship with people, because they can tell that I'm not just trying to get in their pocket.
Yeah.
Well, Levi, you just start some seminars on a smile and a bow tie, and they'll come flocking to you. Sorry, Rob, go ahead.
No, but you're absolutely right. It's called finding people to be your salespeople for you. Like, for example, that the baby photography thing. Like, if you went up to the manager of a independent store that sells baby furniture, and you say, hey, you know what? Do you want to do a joint promotion? How about this? Everybody that drops their name in a ballot is entered to win a free baby photo shoot. But in exchange for that, we just put up this little poster, and they have to, give their name and email address, and boom, at the end of the month, you choose whoever, and I will give a free shoot for them. And for everybody else, I'll send a 20% off coupon, right? And then all of a sudden, you've got the store manager being your salesperson for you.
Absolutely.
And, we just did that with, actually, Ron, you might like this. And for any real estate photographer, if you hate this idea, put it in the comments. But this is what I did. We do real estate photography. I teach how to do real estate photography. I work with a lot of people who do real estate photography and people who do a lot of things in real estate. So what we did was we went up to all the home stagers in our area, and we said, look, if you staged a home and we've shot it, I will give you a free license to that shoot. You want to know why? Because every single time that the home stager goes out there and stages a home, they're going to be like, you know what? I really want Rob to shoot this, because if he shoots it, then I get a free copy of the photos. So, hello, realtor. Your photos aren't actually that good. You should hire Rob. Right? Yeah. All of a sudden, now I've got a team of like 20 salespeople out there pitching my business, because there is, something in it for them. And I've heard this from a couple of the home stagers. They're like, the photographer that shot this home, we wanted a copy of the photos, and then they weren't going to nickel and dime us, and they only charge the realtor $200, but they want to give me a commercial license for $600 for these photos, and they're not really that good. And it's like, oh, there's your pain point. Here's my opportunity. I'm jumping on it, and hey, well,
yeah, great idea.
It works. Here's another one too, like the baby store. I'm kind of slow the next 2 weeks. How about I come photograph some of these products for you, and you can use them on your Facebook? or the wedding store, same thing. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to photograph that dress. Will you let me put a model in that dress, and you guys can use the pictures too? I would love to photograph, like, dentists, these landscapes on your walls are pretty cool, but what if your own kids were on the wall with great big smiles on there? How about we do this? I'll make pictures for you, and we'll make these awesome giant smiley picture prints up there. And if you'll let me just put a business card in your lobby, that'd be a great deal for me.
Yeah, just make sure that and this is for the younger, none of us are the younger photographers anymore, but those out there, make sure you're getting something back for it. Make sure that you're not doing, for instance, at the very least, if you're going to do a free shoot, make sure that, unless you mess it up, that it's going to be gallery worthy, book worthy. So don't shoot an unstaged place. Don't shoot something without hair and makeup. Ask someone to offer that as well, and they can use it as well. Do all of the things. And so make sure that, and if they have something to give for basically free, that's valuable. And this comes from that darn book. I can't think of the name of it, but it's called Never Split the Difference. That's the name. Got to look up the author. He was recommending that if it's the magazine idea, if you're doing something for them, make sure you ask for extra things that are valuable to you and basically free for them. So if there's an unsold cover, there's an unsold page, use those and make sure that you're adding those. So I just want to make sure, don't give away your stuff. I advocate never give away. Offer extras, offer something extra for free, but don't just go out there for free. I always advocate that. And exactly. Levi's chomping at the bit. Go ahead.
I am because I heartily agree and disagree. I think depending on where
I'm next. Go for it.
You lose your bow tie status. Bow tie status revoked.
When I'm at a certain point in my relationship, I can say, well, yeah, why don't you give me that ad space? I think that's a good thing. But I also personally, I think doing something because it's good for someone else is enough. Like, what's good for you is good for you. And to me, that's enough. Like, it doesn't have to be good for me too. I can absolutely work with the value of creating relationship. And
that is valuable, though. If that is what you're getting, that's valuable.
Yes, so, like, don't discount that as the value. It sounds like something for free, and sometimes that's what I'm going to do, and it's been good for me. And it doesn't necessarily mean that comes around to me ever. Maybe it's more karmic. Maybe I'm just getting good things for having done good things.
No, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. The relationship is valuable, and those things will happen. But but so often, you think that relationship is going to be valuable, but it ain't.
It ain't, and that's okay. Like, that's what I'm saying, is that I'm not banking on that relationship paying me back in the future. I'm banking on some other relationship.
Whatever the value is for you. Yeah, go ahead,
Wayne. Jump in.
I actually have two things I have to throw in here that are kind of tangential on this, but really connect. Number one is I totally feel that way about anything you give the client for free, like these extras you're mentioning. I'd much rather throw in extras than give them a reduced rate. If a client comes to me and says, God, can you give me a discount? I'm like, I don't really do discounts because I know what it takes to keep my business afloat. But I'd really be happy to throw in an hour of overtime or a couple of extra high-res files or a longer writes thing. And then the other really important thing is make sure it's in writing. Make sure they remember it. Make sure they're aware of it. Because something that you give to someone has no value if they don't know that they're getting it.
Yeah, my invoices say the thing and it says complimentary on it. Yeah.
Exactly. Whenever there's a discount, whenever there's an extra, I throw it in with its full value and then discount it in red or bold or something. Yeah. So I make sure they're aware of it. And also, if they ever then turn around and say, my home stager wants to use the images too, and I don't know the home stager, I might turn around and say, well, you've got kind of this big discount. Why don't you pay me the discount and then I'll throw that in for free? Or why don't you have the home stager pay that amount that I've discounted for you, because it's not really fair that I give you, free extra usage and I've given you these discounts. So that just gives you a whole lot of negotiating room and awareness. The other thing is, and I really don't want to hype this, but one of these networking things I've done to try to see if I help my local business, after kind of 10 years of various of them approaching me, is a BNI group. And I just want to throw this out really quick, because if you're not aware of them, I'm testing the waters this year, and I'm actually the president, turns out, of my chapter. But BNI, a lot of the things you've said are reflected in their philosophy. First of all, it's giver's gain. And basically, there's no commissions are allowed. You're just passing your referrals to. There's like one person from every field. There's one photographer, one videographer, one plumber, one electrician, one lawyer, and that you block them off. And then you work as a collaboration, and everybody becomes your salesperson. And I've been hearing this in the things you're saying. Basically, all these people get to know you, and they're trying to help you. You tell them, "Hey, I'm looking for hotel clients," and they're like, "Oh, well, I don't know a hotel client, but I know the guy who delivers the food to these 200 hotels, and I can have him." And it's this huge referral thing, and it's just something to be aware of on that networking, local business development. There's a small cost to joining them, but I'm finding it interesting, and I'll let you know in a year's time. I've already made back half of my yearly dues in just starting off with them.
Yeah, I've done BNIs. I 10 thumbs up to everything Wayne just said.
Yeah, and then just one other hint that I had, or one other technique that we used, Wayne, just touching on what you said, don't ever discount your own stuff. You're absolutely right about that. And we've even done that where, Christmas comes around and we need to give gifts out to our clients. And I know that there's a lot of our competitors like, well, here, you've been such a great client. Let me give you these 50% off coupons, or here, give you a free shoot, or whatever, right? And we don't do that. What we do is we go out to a local restaurant that's struggling and say, hey, you know what? Here's my credit card. Here's a promotion voucher. If anyone comes in with this voucher, you can put $100 onto my credit card. And then we print out, say, 100 of those, send it out to all of our clients. 10% of the clients actually use it. 100% of the clients say thank you.
That's cool. That's a great idea.
So that was a really, really good one. And not only does it help you, become more well-known in your local community there, that makes all your clients love you, and you don't spend as much money and you're not devaluing yourself. So that's it for that one. But I think we need to jump into this next topic about.
I think we have one hand raised.
Let me hold you back
very
quickly. I just want to say, I don't say never discount. Didn't say never discount. Discount when appropriate, but make sure they're aware of it and try to get an exchange in value. I'm discounting because I'm getting an editorial credit. I'm discounting because you're giving me some of your products or services in exchange. Yeah. I'm discounting because this is the third job you've sent me this week. But just make sure that there's a compensation and that it's very clear that they're receiving that discount.
I think it's to establish value, not only for them, but for your own psyche. That you're not just giving away, because that's going to come back. It's going to stay in your mind, in your subconscious, and we're the worst judges of ourselves. Like we judge ourselves more than anything else subconsciously. So make sure that you're giving the value and getting it back, so that not only they understand it, but you also don't get in that kind of rhythm and set the value in what you do, assuming you're ready for it. Like, what if you're just starting out? Because I know a lot of Photofocus listeners and readers are considering starting out.
Philosophy applies.
This might not apply if you're really, trying to kind of work your way and figure out your style and get established. Maybe that's different, but mostly I just want to express that you're setting the value. We keep mentioning for our clients and make sure they know the value, but also for our own psyche is important.
Well, humans are very, very pattern oriented, and I think whatever you do once, like if you give a discount once, they will expect a discount again.
Yes.
And it's just like what my son said. He said, well, if I do the dishes, then you'll just expect me to do the dishes again.
Yeah.
Next time.
Smart.
And so if I don't start it now, then I don't ever have to do it later. So why would I start doing the dishes now?
Try that with meals with him and see what he thinks.
Was that your son saying that, or you saying that to your wife? What was the?
Oh no, I would never say that to my wife. No. I'm smarter than that. Okay. Smarter than that, Ron. Still married.
Yes, you're a yes dear kind of guy.
You're still here, right?
I was at Hobby Lobby yesterday, which they sell all kinds of art supplies and craft supplies and stuff, and it says furniture is always 30% off. So furniture is always 30% overpriced. Is what they really
yeah. Like a lot of stores. there's a local store. They're closing up, by the way, but you never go shopping there without the 20% coupon. And now half the listeners know who I'm talking about right now, but you just never go there without the coupon because it's just built in now because it's expected. And so that's a bad thing, but you're right, Rob. This is a great topic. We could make it a regular topic and we could do that based on comments if we get them. Okay. Yeah. So, because this is, I think again, a lot of our audience is that getting started, thinking about starting, having recently started. So this is great. So let us know if you want us to do that every time. Okay. In 2024, April what? April 6th, April 8th. I thought I had this ready to go.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you miss it by a day or two, right?
It in fact does. If you miss it by a minute or two, it does.
What are you talking about?
So in April 8th, 2024 will be the next full lunar eclipse, full eclipse where the moon covers the sun.
in North America.
In North America, thank you.
In North America, yeah.
That's right. And so I have something to say. In 2026, I teased this earlier, in 2026, I'm on my way to Spain because all right, so you're looking for, all right, in April 8th, you want to be in the path that is very specific where you see the full eclipse. Mm-hmm. And the reason you want to do that, I have not experienced the full eclipse. Last time on the eclipse, I got a partial one in downtown San Francisco. It's kind of cool, but it looked like the crescent moon shape to me. Yeah. But if you're in the full totality of the eclipse, people say, and I know Levi, right in a second, you get the floor. It's been described as transcendent, as bringing me to religion when I wasn't. It's been described as all these things. And I personally haven't seen that yet, but I've heard this from people that I know are not making it up. Why would they? And so it's time to start thinking about this now, where just to give a little bit of context, the landfall, so to speak, it's going to come up through the ocean, this pattern. So at about noonish, 12:09 exactly, Mazatlan, Mexico. So get your tickets now. That sounds like a great place for me.
That sounds like an Aztec thing going on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, can you imagine get some pyramids or something, right? So that's going to be where the totality is seen first on land, and then it goes up through Mexico with lots of, like, Durango apparently is going to be the very longest duration, which is about 4.5 minutes this time. And it goes up through Texas. It goes up through the states all the way up to it hits Pacific through the U.S., some major places, and all the way through Canada, through Newfoundland and things. So I wanted to start bringing it up now, and there will be some links in the show notes to a couple of things that I found. And if you guys want to share some too, please do, with recommendations. I'm thinking of having a couple of these guys on that can really give good details. But Levi, you were there. Tell us, please. Sorry it took so long.
99% totality is 100% not totality.
Yeah.
It is absolutely not the same thing to be just outside the full shadow of the moon.
And the maps will tell you this.
Yeah. And so for the 2017, I was right in the totality. I was on the west side of the Tetons looking at the mountains. It was really cool. I was leading a little workshop out there.
I didn't remember that you had done that, because I really learned along with you about this, and I didn't realize that you got to do that. I didn't get to get away.
It turned out really cool. And so the other thing is, as a photographer, is it worth making the exact same picture that everyone else is making? Is that worth more than experiencing it? Mm-hmm. Because it's hard to do both. Like, it's hard to make a technical photograph during a once in a lifetime event,
which at the most is about 4.5 minutes. And most places is going to be a little bit less. That's that was going to be one of my questions, is how much do you just want to experience this apparently transcendent event? Yeah. Cause compared to get that shot. Yeah.
If you're filling your frame with the eclipse, say you've got a 400 millimeter lens or something, and you're just pointed at the sun, it's going to look like everybody else's picture pointed at the sun.
Yeah.
And is that worth experience, like being a lot less present, honestly?
That's a great question.
With that same picture. Yeah. However, if you're in Mazatlan and you've got this pyramid standing up in front of the eclipse, that's a whole different thing. Like, if you can make a cool composition that is, well, and and there's still value in having your own picture of the eclipse. That's why we go to Delicate Arch in Moab and make our own picture that's not nearly as good as 100 other pictures taken that day, because it's still valuable for me.
And as a photographer, it's something you want to do. It's something you want to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But also just like consider what you can do to make your own photo. Like when I was in the Tetons, it was like 11 o'clock ish. And so the sun was quite high. With a wide lens, you could get the mountains and the sun up there. But at Smith Rock in Oregon, people were photographing rock climbers in front of the eclipse.
Yeah.
It was lower on the horizon at that time. And so depending on where you are, you've got different opportunities. Maybe it's straight up overhead, but maybe you could shoot it through the trees and have this convergence of trees all the way around the sun, or anything to give it some foreground.
So what I'm hearing from you, Levi, is that if we're planning for this eclipse, then not only should we be planning for, where should I be, but more of where's the sun going to be, and what is the background that I want in this shot, and how do I want to compose this shot? And so by the time that you get there, you already know exactly what you're going for, and you've planned it, because it's
4 minutes.
It's one of those really cool things where I didn't realize this until we started talking about it. But okay, the moon is a lot smaller than the Earth, and therefore the amount of the shadow of the moon is not that big, and it travels across the Earth. And depending on where you are and at what time, you can actually get the sun at, like, say, sunrise, with a sunrise style eclipse, and that would look really cool. But you'd have to calculate out exactly where that would be.
Yeah,
well, you're extremely limited because it's such a very specific path, and the totality, like Levi said, the 100% totality is extremely less path. So, can you find a pyramid in the path? Can you find
it's like 50 miles wide. Yeah,
right.
That much? Oh, that much. That's a good.
It might not even be that much. It might not. It might be 20. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Over the next months, these are the things I wanted to talk about. Right. What I really wanted to get across to everyone this month is just to be aware of it. First of all, like so many people are just not. That happens to me. There'll be a full supermoon or something, and I'll be, what? I missed it. So just keep me in contact.
Wednesday. I don't know what day this is airing, Pep, but
it's Thursday.
This Wednesday. Oh, okay. Well, then last night there was a really great blue moon supermoon as well. But I'm working on plans to photograph this week at the university.
Levi Sim, photofocus extraordinaire, does not know it's every Thursday. It's not every Thursday these days. But Rob and I put out 2 on Thursdays. So, Rob and Wayne, I know I'm sort of moving past you a little bit here, but we talked beforehand that you didn't have too much, and I don't want to stick on this too long.
I've got a 30-second anecdote that I just think is really funny. I
love Wayne's anecdotes. Go.
5th grade, in California, and I wasn't obviously a photographer yet and had no idea, but somehow I knew this was wrong. Our teacher said, "You're all coming camping to my house because there's a lunar eclipse. Bring your telescopes, bring your binoculars, bring your cameras.
Children, come to my house in the dark."
Yeah. Okay. And someone said, no, he was a really cool guy. Someone said, he was a big astronomy buff, and I am too, so I loved him. But somebody said, "Should I bring my flash?" and even I in 5th grade went, no, because if your flash actually did anything, you'd ruin it for the entire world or everybody who's watching it. And B, it's really going to have a hard time reaching the moon. Yeah, your little camera flash. And anyhow, that's it.
Well, that brings me to one point, is that it's hard to capture that bright. What's the term? I've got to get up to speed, but during the totality, you see this black disc covering this. Is that the corona that's popping out?
Yeah, the corona pops out.
You're trying to, if you want to capture any details of the moon besides a black disc, you have to plan for that. And people go for anything from mechanical motion, tripod heads, because I do know from regular moon photography that thing's moving faster than you think. So you do. So again, without going, we're going to ask some experts or get some details first. But there are a lot of things to think about. Is the thing I wanted to express. And the other thing, really quick. I did mention it. 2026, Spain.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
The totality path. There are links in the show notes for 2024 and 2026 from a helpful website called eclipsophile. I just want to give credit. And it comes in right over Palma de Mallorca, right in the, so that's for people that don't know, that's right next to Ibiza. That's the famous island. It's right in there. And then it goes through kind of the north of Spain. So Wayne will have to go to the north, but goes through like Burgos and stuff like that up top there. And I think it touches Galicia and stuff. So anyway, that's going to be, I'm putting that on my calendar right now.
I'm going to try to find a pyramid up there somewhere.
Do those exist? Yes. I fell for that. Dang it.
You've got time to build one, Wayne.
Well, we can discuss what places to try to capture. Maybe we can put together like a get together up there. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah,
awesome.
Podcast brought to you by the Pyramids of Spain.
They had to come from somewhere, right?
It's speaking of Spanish photographers, though. There's a guy called I forget Raphael's last name, but he made an app called Photo Pills.
Oh, I love Photo Pills. Yeah, we talk about Photo Pills.
Yeah, this is the app you should use to plan your eclipse.
Let's have them on. Let's have them sponsor because we talk about them every time.
Yeah, Levi,
Wayne, you're in Spain. You probably know Raphael.
No, actually not. But I've heard of Photo Pills. I have to investigate that.
Aren't those guys in the Canary Islands?
I don't know.
Of apps, though, a good one to throw out for this planning is something like Sunseeker. There's a bunch of apps like that that actually use the iPhone camera.
Yeah, and that's how Photo
see the position of the sun at where it's going to be at the time of day and what angle. Very helpful in planning.
The cool thing about Photo Pills too is that it accounts for elevation, whereas like most other sunset things, ephemeris, yeah,
photographers
ephemeris. Many of them don't account for the elevation where you are and the elevation of obstructions, whereas Photo Pills makes it really easy to account for those things. And
I'm going to check that out right now.
Just the right spot.
Yep.
Okay, Wayne, you're in charge of getting a hold of Raphael. And, they do a ton of promotion. They do really cool videos. The results they show from their users and stuff from some of those mountain climbers in front of the last eclipse I saw on their content. Big fan. It's like I think it's a $10 app, which as apps go are high, but man, there a lot goes into that.
It pays for itself, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so worth if you look into what they put into it and what it's worth to you and the time you'd save and the things you can get without it. I mean, it's just amazing. In fact, didn't somebody show the last eclipse on from an airplane? I believe. Shoot, or maybe it was just a full moon. But anyway, there was an
no, there was. I think the solar eclipse from the plane. Yep,
that's wild.
Yeah. And he took a pill to do it. a Photo Pills.
Nice. Yeah, guys, if you any apps that you'd recommend, add it to our notes, and I'll put them in the show notes. And anything you think of after, cool examples, for instance, or anything, please add those. You got a couple days before I put this out, so you can
my solution for being because I was teaching a workshop during the eclipse, so not only was I totally not present for the
not recommended
the celestial phenomenon, but I'm trying to help other people enjoy it and get a good picture of it. So I just did a time lapse with my camera and left it going on its own. And that might be a good solution for you to be able to record the thing and also enjoy the thing.
Yeah.
Set your camera, set it and forget it.
Yep.
One more.
Make sure that your memory card is nice and big and empty.
One more thing I found interesting when I was kind of just looking through some YouTube videos and stuff about this over the last few days was that these things happen. They just happen in places that aren't talked about. Like there have been full eclipses that you could see from South America during COVID, which nobody could travel to. So unless you lived there or lucky enough to be there, then you weren't going to go to, I forgot the locations, but they were, sorry, South America, but for most of the world, pretty random. And so they do happen. So if this is an interest that somebody has, there are other options than these ones we talk about going through North America. It's the only one that gets the press.
And you do need to plan now because everything was sold out.
Yes,
like 6 months in advance around the Tetons. Like I
was going to mention that, and also the other thing, don't forget the weather,
right?
Because you can plan this for years and years and show up and there's a storm and clouds and forget it. It's San Francisco's 4th of July fireworks every year. It's just a bunch of clouds that light up. But but if you get unlucky, so someone that I believe I don't know this, I forgot the name. It's going to be my pick for the YouTube channel if we do that. I'm going to ask if they want to come on because he was recommending having your backup plans within a few hours drive, so that you could be keeping track of the weather, because you never know until the minute happens.
Right.
But one of the places will be nice arid climate in north of Spain, I believe, in 2026.
The one time I shot a partial solar eclipse, like literally the first thing I shot with a digital camera, 2005. It was partially cloudy, but it actually made the shots really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I really improvised. I did no planning, and I shot in my backyard, and that's what I got was a crescent moon sort of effect. No bracketing, no HDR. I didn't know what I was doing. The 2005, I wasn't digital. But I got some really cool shots just because of the cloud patterns and stormy sort of cloud-looking patterns around that crescent moon, which was actually the sun, made it interesting. Which, as you said, if you're just filling the frame,
that's what I did in 2017. The only thing I did was I went to downtown, like down where the skyscrapers are, part of San Francisco, small area, and I played around with getting the buildings with the partial eclipse and stuff. But then I ended up turning my camera around and getting all the people and getting with all of the special glasses, and it was a bunch of pretty much young people in suits that just ran out it was a little lunch or something. They ran out to go see the phenomenon. They didn't care too much, but so I got I thought it was pretty good shots.
Always
but it wasn't.
Look behind. That was one of the great tips I heard from a photographer. Whenever you're shooting something, don't forget to look behind you.
Turn around. Yep.
Especially if you're standing on a highway.
Yep.
there's an annular eclipse in October this year,
which
through
means
the southwest of America. So the difference between an annular and a total is that the sun the moon is farther away from the Earth. So it goes in front.
Wait, is the sun in front of the moon? Never mind.
That'll be the last one. That'll be the last one.
Yeah, the moon still obstructs the sun, but it's much farther from the Earth, so it doesn't cover the entire disk of the sun.
Okay. That's part of it, is just
there's still
the
a lot
orbit.
more light. It's basically like what it looks like is you put an ND filter on your camera, and everything's just a little darker. But it makes the contrast way lighter. So if you were shooting at noon, normally the shadow side of a hill would be so black you can't expose for both of them. It gives you HDR in a single shot when
so you can plan your shoots around this. Get the model out there at the right time.
Exactly.
Once every few years.
During one, the last time it was like 10 years ago, I was in the middle of one, and it made some really cool effects for that shoot.
Wow.
Okay. Well, cool, guys. Let's leave that eclipse there. And again, I'm going to bring it back. Something about the eclipse for the next couple of months, so help people get ready. And so I think we have 4 talkers on here. So let's do one more topic and let everybody get out. Glad to see you're still with us, Rob.
My children have not killed each other yet.
We wanted to bring up Wayne has a great post. Check out his Instagram, link in the show notes, about using if you haven't heard, Photoshop Beta has an AI aspect to it now, where you can select an area and say, put something there and tell it what you want. Mm-hmm. And I think we've all played with it a bit. I've added plants into places. I've added aliens into things, but nothing too serious. Where, Wayne, tell us what you are doing with that in your post.
Okay, so
because it looks really good.
Yeah, I was really amazed by this, because the whole AI thing hit me kind of by surprise. I knew it was there, but I really didn't know how serious this had gotten. And so I did one post. I did one post where actually I used some pictures of the 49ers winning the Super Bowl for the first time ever in 1980, I think it was. I happened to be in San Francisco when the streets erupted and people were jumping on cars. Anyhow, so I used 2 photographs that I'd shot because I was in the city when that happened by coincidence. And then I created an AI photo, totally generated by AI with the help of my son who does 3D renders with Midjourney. And I kind of said to people, at the end of the post, one of these pictures is not a picture. So that was the initial AI post. But the next one, and unfortunately I don't have his name. I'd love to credit him. I'll find it and put it in the notes.
Are these all on your Instagram?
Yeah, they're on my Instagram feed from over the last, I think the AI one was maybe a month ago, and the Photoshop AI, and the other one is a little older. But there's this brilliant architectural photographer in Calgary, Canada. I just can't remember his name right now. And he did this post that blew me away. He said,
Rob Moroto.
No, not me.
He goes, so I'm using the new Photoshop Beta generative fill, and instead of waiting half an hour for some passerby to give scale to these architectural exterior photographs, I'm just, specifying the area and having Photoshop create them for me. And I was blown away. So I tried it, and just very quickly, my experience, which isn't entirely reflected in the post, is if you try to do and ask them to put somebody too close in the foreground or even midground, you're going to get some melted wax zombie creature that's pretty useless a lot of the time. But if you go for like background, we're talking a shot of the whole building, and you want some guy going by on a bicycle, or some people walking in, or some people looking through the window, it does that pretty damn well and fast. Now, when I looked, it said, this is Photoshop Beta, this is really cool, but you can't use this commercially. So unless that's changed by now, you're not allowed to actually make commercial use of the results. But to play with and I've got a lot of architectural photographs with no human figures in them. And that's really been a big thing these last 5 years, is having real people in architectural photography. And I was going like, wow, I can like update some of my images by having Photoshop throw in some people, just because I'm a bit lacking in that thing, if I don't have time to go out and set up these shoots.
What kind of prompts did you use to get? I saw the video. You made a kind of a time lapse, cool little video on that's in the show notes.
I kind of say the prompts, but it goes really fast. I mean, it's a 1 minute video, so I have to do it really fast. But literally, I would say like, teacher in brown clothes walking into school, students hanging out by stairway, someone with a telescope on the rooftop. Actually, you don't even say on the rooftop. You just specify the area. And, then you get like, I think it's 3 results or 4 results. And you kind of pick one of those and say more like that. And then it gives you 4 results until you're happy with something. And if you ever, after playing with it for 5 minutes, you're like, oh, this is just getting worse and worse, you can actually go back to all the original results and say, actually, the first or the 5th one was the best. So it's just mind-blowing. And before I forget, I just want to say that a client just sent me a photograph that clearly had this done to it. And he goes, can you believe it? And here's the thing. It was a more or less okay photograph. And they'd obviously said to Photoshop AI, throw a woman walking here, throw a man walking there, and throw a flashy car here. But he goes, can you believe it? They didn't clean up the pile of construction material in the driveway.
Can you select the area and say clean up the construction area?
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can. So the whole thing is that, Photoshop AI, artificial intelligence, somebody was saying the other day, I prefer like stupid human intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence. Well, here's a perfect example of the two going hand in hand. AI can do whatever you want it to do, but if you're not smart enough to say, oh, and aside from making this look, populated, clean up the mess, then that's just your fault.
Yeah. It's interesting because they also have this other one, which is now the remove tool, which is really cool. It uses AI to try and figure out where the outline of an object is in a photo and then remove it. And so that's in the actual current release. Now, I tried this where I had a client who put flowers into a place, and they didn't like the flowers afterwards, so they asked me to take it out. Now, flowers tend to be kind of tough because you have the flower, you have the stems, you have the leaves, and then you have the background behind it, and it's hard to differentiate which is the flower, which is the background. And especially when it's in a kitchen and there's a tile pattern behind it.
Yeah, totally.
So I used the remove tool and I said, okay, remove this flower. And it was not okay. It was close, but not okay. Nothing that I could send to my client. And so I did the generative fill, and I said, fill this area with a background tile.
Oh my God.
And it actually did that better, except for the third one, where it also put in a person, like putting in tile. And I thought, well, that's not what I wanted. Or like the second one where it actually replaced the flowers that were there with a different flower. And so I looked at it and thought, well, you know what? That's actually easier to Photoshop out than what I had before, so let's
Right.
keep that one. And it became this game of like,
It's iterative, generative.
yeah, it's like trying to tell your dog how to unlock the car from the inside so you can get them out. It's like, okay, well, I tried this, it got close. This one, even closer, but not quite. Let's try it again. And it feels like you are working with some sort of really stupid cognizance.
Right.
Like, and it's
Have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy? Groot keeps bringing the wrong thing back.
yes.
Yeah.
You guys know.
Yes, it's like that. It really is. It's like baby Groot being the little sprout. Like,
You have
he
a
does remind me-
refrigerator full of
okay,
thumbs, right?
Does anybody else remember Sprout, like Green Giant, and then there's Sprout?
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
No, yeah, my kids have no idea. They're like ho ho ho, and they're like, what, Santa? It's like, no.
Green Giant.
I think I prefer the Kool-Aid Smash version.
Oh, yeah, right?
Just do it by force. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That-
But no,
that's-
Wayne, I've got to try that with the people. That's brilliant. Even if
I,
they,
I was mind blown.
Yeah.
I was really mind blown that had happened so fast.
I used to call some of the stuff I had to do, I would call on photos if it was really serious. You can call it retouching. That sounds too nice. If I had to really fix bad, for me, it was stitching errors. But if I had to fix things that were just completely wrong, I used to call that surgery. And then now I kind of just take it as the guy I like to quote in so many ways. Another movie reference from me is Major League. You had the big dude from like Cuba, and he always was praying to Jobu. He's like, you're asking him to help him hit, and at some point he goes, I think he used the real word, but he goes, I think he said, "F you, Jobu, I do it myself," and then he just starts hitting it, right? And so sometimes I feel like that with my experimentation with AI, and I know it's early, but I'll try to, for instance. Now, I didn't really do this because I just learned that you can't use it commercially. So I didn't really do this, but pretend I had I had added a scene on a television in a living room. It's easy to do in Photoshop, right?
yeah.
But I just didn't say AI add a scene, but they always were really weird, very AI looking, very could have been anything from anywhere. I said add a sports scene, and it has some very strange objects, and I just decided to do it myself because I can just grab a scene I've been doing it forever. So I don't know. I go back and forth. So I'm really happy when I saw Wayne's thing that he adding people was working for him. So it gives me great interest in working on that some more.
Check it out on the post.
One thing it did do, at least for you, Ron, was to put the mask on the screen. And then you could just drop a different layer into that mask.
Yep.
Ooh, good idea. I didn't do that.
Nice.
Because what I do find that works really well with AI is that it does blend it into the scene really well.
Yeah.
So if for people out there, if you have it's on a layer, if you decide to move the layer around, you'll see, like if you add a plant or something, you'll see if you move it around that the background is very well blended in. So that's to me, that's the main benefit. So you're right. Have the AI create the mask, use that mask. Okay. Thanks, Levi. Tip of the day. That's like a Rob's gem. That's like a gem from Rob right there. Good.
Well,
You
gonna be
said
replaced
something
now?
about
What?
retouching. You called it surgical or something, and that's just something that reminded me of something I say to my clients when I say, the assignment does not include retouching except, maybe small spots and things. I said anything beyond that requires, a client request requires an estimate, and I tell them I call it digital gardening and digital reforms.
Yeah.
Because they'll literally come to you and say, well, make the grass green and get rid of the dead branches on the tree. And, I didn't have time to paint this room from the humidity problems and all that. So I just say, okay, that's digital gardening and digital reforms. I'm happy to give you a quote for that,
The reason I like surgery is because just like in real life, it's your very last resort. I mean, it's medieval cutting into things, right? You don't want to do that. You want to avoid it at all costs, but when it's necessary, it's necessary. So that's why
scarring.
That's I'm gonna add that to the photos. Expect a little bit of scarring. It might not be perfect if you're not paying me for it.
Hopefully, it's just scarring their wallet, not.
All right, Ron, we've hit an hour. I gotta go. My kids are gonna kill me.
Rob, thanks for coming. Let's all get a round of applause. Let Rob go early. Thanks, man, for making time because I know we are in a busy season, and I'll see you. Well, I'll talk to you soon. We'll get our Q&A next time. But
sounds good. All right. Adios, guys. Thank you very much.
Rob.
For any of our listeners out there that want to learn how to do real estate photography, I've got a back to school sale on right now. Check it out. robmoroto.com. And hopefully we'll see you in class.
Discount Photofocus?
No, the back to school one's even better.
It's just on there. Okay. You don't need a code is the thing. Okay, cool.
All right, guys.
Rob. Ciao.
Adios.
See ya. Ciao, ciao.
So Levi and Wayne, let's finish up with if we have picks of the month for, usually it's YouTube, but it can be really anything photography related. Frankly, it doesn't even have to be photography related. In fact, my pick for YouTube is what I already mentioned. And now that I see my notes, it's called Nebula Photos. Really great presenter. I don't recall his name, but the link is in the show notes to one of them that I watched. And he's doing a lot, like I mentioned, is kind of getting prepared, like saying, hey, I'm going to put out some content and help you out. So we're not the experts here. We're kind of trying to help listeners and ourselves to find the experts and get something out of it. So that's my pick. Check him out. He'll mention a few of the things that I mentioned because I got them from him. Thank you very much, Mr. Nebula. Link in the show notes. Do you guys have a good pick for either YouTube or we already got robmoroto.com for real estate videos, which if listeners haven't heard, he's been working on that for some time. I remember during the pandemic, I sat down and was watching and commenting and helping out, and I learned stuff from him. And I think hopefully I helped a little bit. I don't know, but he has really good content. So we'll make that Rob's pick. Who wants to go? Okay, Levi, go for it.
When you're sitting there in the evening after the kids are in bed and you're looking at the YouTubes, turn off the YouTubes and go put your camera on a tripod and make a picture.
Boom.
Try something.
Right.
Because, I know that you don't have a ton of time to practice these things. I know that you've got a lot of other life going on, but don't waste that other life. Go use it.
Yes. Can I modify with grab your camera, try something. Probably it's not going to be, it's never going to be perfect. Or you might mess it up, or you might go, I never thought of this problem. I never realized I would have this. So let me try. Then that's the best time to go look for help either on YouTube or something else, because you kind of have a context for what you're trying to do. And
but you've already watched the video on this. Go do it and then go watch the video again. Okay.
Well, I'm thinking maybe you just try it. There's a value in either one. Like you just try it and then you can go and get educated on it. It's the best time. But yeah, I agree, is use the camera. That's the main thing, is just get it out and use it and make mistakes until you don't.
Yeah. And I do have a shameless plug for a product. I'm even using it right now to hold my
I know what that is. Is that a platypod?
It's the platypod, but it's not just the platypod. It's the platypod handle, which is an extension. So this whole piece goes down inside the bottom piece, and so it's
it's not fair because this is an audio show, but
I know it's an extension tube,
we just can see each other because it makes it easier to have an audio show because we talk over each other less.
That's true.
But yeah, actually, I mean, microphones, everybody needs a microphone nowadays, right? So
yeah, I use it for this. I use it for lights. I use it for my camera. I love, I've been involved with platypod since I got started, and I've loved having the platypod. This handle gives it a little more utility. That's great. I used it the entire day the other day photographing athletes. I'm shooting from down low, shooting up at them. Nice. I've just got it sitting on the floor, and I'm looking at the camera instead of trying to hold my elbows in the right place and tilt it all around and stuff. And so I heartily recommend the platypod handle, which is a new tool.
Is there a video about that you can send me a link to?
On platypod.com. Yeah.
Okay. Wayne, fill us up with some interesting things we should try.
Well, when you asked favorite YouTube channel, I kind of froze because I'm like, I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube, unbelievably still at this stage. But what I do, which I think is interesting to share, is obviously when I need to know something, how to do something or about something or researching something, I search. And, for example, I just finally broke down and bought my Mavic 3 Mini Pro.
Yes.
And of course, I've subcontracted it, and I've been handling the actual menu setup to get the type of files I want and all the settings I want as photographer. And I've been, telling them where to put the drone, and I've been pressing the shutter button at times. But so I was kind of pretty familiar with its operation, but I really needed to know how to fly and handle all this simultaneously. So I did a lot of research on it. And there were a couple of guys who were really amazing. I'm sorry I can't share who they were now, because I thought they were really offering quality information after having run through probably 20, 30 different videos and guys talking about it and trying to find stuff that was actually, well, easy to follow, informative, and appropriate information for me. So, but I get we're out of time, so the drone thing could be a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, we can talk about it next time. Tell us one quick thing is what kind of rigmarole do you have to go through in Spain for any kind of license?
That's what I was referring to. The whole thing was really interesting to me, because I was like, no, you know what? I'm not investing this. I'm getting somebody to subcontracting who has it. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is that the under 250 gram drones don't require a license.
Also in Europe. Great.
Yeah, also
good to know.
Europe.
Good to know.
So when I discovered that, and I downloaded some raw files from the web to see what they were looking like, because I'd been using the Mavic Pro 2. Hiring that, and I was happy enough with the quality of those. And when I saw that this pretty much looked like that, I went, okay, this is a drone that fits like a lens into my camera bag. Okay, lens plus the the remote control. It has more or less the quality of the Mavic Pro 2. It cost around $1,000 to get the kit, and I don't need a license to fly it. Obviously, you need insurance. That's, please, everyone, be careful. Just because you don't need a license doesn't mean you can go out and do anything you want.
Luckily, that Mini probably really can't do too much damage.
Yeah. No, that's why. But all we can do this another. I think it's a good topic for another day.
Yeah, we actually do something about drones pretty often, just like what we've been talking about. Well, again, I'm kind of calling out for comments and emails about this. Questions at photofocus.com is I'm thinking about structuring the show to have very regular topics, because we're finding also our kind of regular people that are on, and we're going to have regular topics. So this is all open season. I have free run to do however I want, pretty much. So guys and gals that are listening, let us know if you want to hear hey, what's the update on, what do you guys have about every month? What do you know about, what do you want to update us on drones? What do you want to update us on AI? What do you want to update us on? So let us know. All right. Thanks, guys. We are going long. So let's see. Once again, thanks Photomatics for sponsoring hdrsoft.com. Download and try for free is the little.
And I have to throw in, I love it. I've been using them ever since I started working digitally, and still do.
I think you and I met somehow through discussing things about that, I think. And again, listeners, Chasan.com, the man has real pro stuff that we all wish we were shooting. So check it out, and make amazing use with Photomatics, and like all of us.
I want to throw in really quick. I don't do anything complex with it. I don't go into the innards, and I pretty much just use Fusion Natural and 3 sliders.
I'm a lot the same way.
I really, I know there's so much more to it.
Well, but, you and I think do what I recommend is that we're not looking for a final result out of it. It's a tool to get anywhere from say 70 to 90% there. And then there's always post-processing. In a difficult situation, I'll still overlay a single one. So there's a lot of things, but because I do get questions from people about it that are looking for their final result from it. And now with real estate, like I always, there's a concept of good enough in real estate, right? And that's fine. But when you're doing high-end resorts and stuff like that, when I've done those in the past, I used to get comments from the other photographers where how do you get the HDR? How do you nail it so well? I'm like, well, you don't just get it directly out of there. You do other steps. So just throwing that out there to set the expectation right. Yeah. But the heavy lifting gets done there.
Sometimes, every now and then, it comes out perfect on the first, and you're like, my God, whoa, that was so sweet.
But I'm looking for the heavy lifting from it, and it's great. It saves so much time and so many steps and so much detailed editing and stuff like that. So, but yeah, thanks again, Photomatics. Let's get out of here. Levi, where do you want to tell people parting, where to find you, etc.?
Oh, sure. You can see not ever since I got a job working for the man and my livelihood doesn't depend on social media. I'm not posting there very often, but on Instagram.
I'm glad you're still involved doing this stuff though, because
no, I love it. This is
the photography world is missing something when Levi Sim disappears, so we don't want to do that.
Well, so I'm still out there. Look for some latest stuff at USU Photo Video on Instagram.
USU Photo Video. Add the link in the doc. I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. And then also, Photo Levi on Instagram all the time too.
All right, cool. Wayne, parting comments.
Oh, parting comments. Well, okay. So I guess the big parting comment would be that those of you who want to see the Chasan.com that Mr. Pepperazzi is kindly talking about, please look quickly, because in the next weeks we will be doing a major relaunch of the website. Ooh. Where it's going to go a bit more corporate. I'm actually going to keep a photography website with a new name, but Chasan.com is going to go a bit more corporate and a bit more talking about who we are, what we do, what our philosophy is, what jobs we've shot, case studies, a bit more exciting and modern, as opposed to just the lumbering photo gallery that's been rolling for 10 years without much change.
Interesting. I'm going to check it out. I've been thinking about doing something similar, going to kind of a professional website where mine's kind of just for fun.
Well, I think it's really important to communicate who it is, what we're like, and what we've done, as opposed to just the image. I mean, anybody can take a good picture. We all know that. Now, they might just take a good picture. They might just take a good picture, not a good picture every time they shoot something.
Okay.
Right? Okay. But everybody can take a good picture. And there are a lot of good pros out there. So in the end, we are not just selling ourselves. We're not just selling the images we produce. We're selling who we are, what we're like, how we take the images, our philosophy, again, working with a smile. I mean, I have clients that come to me and say, this guy, we did a job with him, but he was really grumbly and he was such a pain and he was really hard to work with. And, it's a big thing. So I think it was
taking that guy's business.
Yeah.
I used to sell myself a bit that way by saying I come from the hospitality business first, so I'm the opposite of your grumbly photographer. So I'll be out there. I can actually talk to your customer, your guests, your clients, and stuff like that. So I used to kind of add that as part of the value. But yeah, be that. We got 3 of us. We used to have 4, but now 3 of us here on this show that work with a smile. I am not adding a bow tie, but my parting comment is ronpepper.com, and my parting comment is just that I finally gave in, Levi, got myself a name tag.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I forgot to mention that in the networking, because when they're like, oh yeah, that guy at networking every week, he's a good photographer. What's his name? What is that guy's name?
And I try to play up the Pepper part versus Ron, because there's a million Rons and Robs out there. So and people always call me Rob. So I just try to play up the Pepper part. I just tell them, remember that, don't remember Ron, and all those little things I didn't add in earlier in the show that we're just adding last. But again, thanks for sticking around. If you've gotten all the way to the end of the show, much appreciated. And from here, I just want to say, like we mentioned a couple times, get out and shoot, have fun with it, make the mistakes, get better at it, whatever it is. We'll see you should be in 2 weeks for a Q&A show. Questions at photofocus.com. Please send them in, and we'll see you then. And adios.